Today we welcome a new member of the Aggie family. Let me tell you, Jim, it's a wonderful feeling to be welcomed by the Aggies. Thank you all. The core values of Coach: selfless, excellence, energy. Add that with the community service. It's what we've come to know. It's what we've come to love. It's what we've come to expect. He's an Aggie. Jim Schlossnagle has said, the more you give, the more you invest in others, the better teammate you become. That's not just on the field. That's to your team, to your family, to your faith. And he's strong in all of those. And that makes us so much stronger, our Aggieland community. One person also of our Aggie family, it is my honor to introduce to you the Director of Athletics for Texas A&M, Ross Bjork.
Thank you. Howdy. All right, thank you, Andrew, and thanks for your service and work as a voice of the Aggies. This was Andrew's first baseball season, so we want to congratulate him on doing a great job and many, many years to come. So it's a great day to be a fighting Texas Aggie. Before we get started about today's festivities, since this is really kind of our first gathering of this kind, I just wanted to say thank you for everything that has taken place this past year. It's been unprecedented. Tomorrow marks 66 weeks before we shut down college sports. And then on June 8th of 2020, we started working out. And that took a lot of effort just to get to the point where we could have our student athletes back on campus. So to think how far that we've come is a credit to the leadership, the health experts, our fans, the 12th man to get us to this point. So I did want to acknowledge how far we've come and just thank everyone for all their support. And we're not done yet. Our track and field team is in Eugene competing for a national championship. And we know Pat Henry, absolutely. So we still have competition left to finish this year. This is an exciting day for Texas A&M athletics, and of course our baseball program. It's also historic. So how about this? We've only announced 3 other baseball coaches since 1959. And I would say this is a home run announcement. Do we have bubbles? Can we cue the bubbles when we say home run? Somebody's got bubbles in here. So that's right. Coach Schlossnagle is only the 4th coach since 1959. And a little trivia, before 1959, we had 17 coaches, including Coach Unknown in 1894. He had a 3-1 record, or whoever it was. I don't know, probably was a he, I guess. But think about that. Tom Chandler, Mark Johnson, who's here today. Where's Coach Johnson? Where's Mark? There he is, right there, Coach. Thank you for being here. And then of course, Coach Childress. We want to thank him for his service. But let that sink in. And now we have Jim Schlossnagle. I want to thank the university administration. President Kathy Banks, she's our new president. She has literally hit the ground running. She's actually having an event with Aggie moms right now, which is very, very important here at Texas A&M. So she could not be here today, but we want to thank her for her support during this search. And then I know we have some university administrators and leadership, so we thank you for being here. Chancellor Sharp, he is here today as well, Chancellor John Sharp. We want to thank him for, absolutely, thank you. So we know he cares deeply about athletics and wants it to be the front porch and done the right way, but also just a side note, about a year ago, Chancellor Sharp was the first person in higher education that said, we can, we should, and we will play college sports. That was at the end of April of 2020 when there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. So we want to thank you for that foresight that you had to get us through this past year. And then we have Board of Regents. We want to congratulate our new chairman, Tim Leach, who could not be here today, but we have several board members. Jay Graham and his wife, April, are here. Thank you. We have Regent Mike Plank is here as well. And then we have our newest Regent, Randy Brooks. So thank you all for being here. And then we have Regent Emeritus, Phil Adams. I saw him somewhere. He was lingering somewhere in the back. But thank you all for being here, and thank you for your leadership. We also have lots of head coaches that are here today, but in particular, I want to introduce our new women's golf coach who is here in the audience. Coach Chadwell, please stand up. Absolutely. So he did not bring his better half to this event. Stacy Lewis, she's pretty good on the golf course. So I think she'll add a little recruiting flair. She's out practicing. So thank you for being here. Congratulations. I saw Coach Slocum. He's got a golf game, so he's a little casual, but he's here. Mayor Andrew Nelson from the city of Bryan, so he's here as well in his jersey. That's right. So during our search, we formed an advisory team. Folks that help me research, interview candidates, go out and find the best coach. Kevin Hurley's our Senior Associate Athletic Director, oversees our baseball team and program. Kevin's here on the side over there. Joe Fields is our Senior Associate for Student Athlete Services. He's with our track team. Joe was part of our group. And then Justin Moore, our Deputy Athletic Director. Justin's standing off over to the side as well. We also employed a turnkey ZRG search firm. Chad Chatlos and Katie Young helped us identify candidates, do a lot of background checks, and really research the field. And then I had some advisors at home. My wife, Sonia, who's here. Peyton is at a football workout. He knows a lot of college baseball coaches, so he had a few opinions. And then Paxton, Tuesday night, I walk in and I'm like, okay, we got everything done. Like everything's signed, all the MOUs are signed. And he says, please tell me that he's a good coach. So that was his input. So no pressure, no pressure. So Texas A&M baseball, the corner of George Bush Drive and Olson Boulevard, Bluebell Park. Olson Magic, holding up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers when you hear that train, that horn honking on the train tracks. Bubbles when we score. Ball 5, ball 6, ball 7. I heard ball 11 this year. We got up to ball 11, I think. The rifleman, right? When we make a strikeout. Kids roaming the berms, the playground, singing Deep in the Heart of Texas and God Bless America. Some pretty famous heckling. Okay, so my section 203 over here. Okay, so you guys are back in full force in 2022. You can stop tweeting at me. Okay, we're done, you're back. We're all good, right? Okay, section 203. Those are the things that define Texas A&M baseball. But here is what also should define Texas A&M baseball. Competing in the SEC at the highest level. Recruiting the best and brightest in Texas, but also in beyond, but in particular in the state of Texas. Being in the hunt to host regionals, super regionals, going to Omaha, and of course winning a national championship. That is our vision. And so pursuing the right coach who could deliver on that vision was the goal of this search. Someone who's a leader, not just a coach, but a leader who could create a vision and build on this platform of success and capitalize on the recruiting bed that is Texas and achieve the dreams and aspirations that we all have for this program. But also live by the Aggie core values: respect, excellence, leadership, loyalty, integrity, and selfless service. And it really came down to one leader, one man, Jim Schlossnagle, winningest coach in the state of Texas in the last 10 years. He's won 54 postseason games, 15 NCAA tournaments, conference or national coach of the year 10 times. He's won 811 games as a head coach, 20 conference titles, been to Omaha 5 times. He's won 11 games. That's tied for the most of any active head coach. When we sat down with Coach Schlossnagle and met for the first time, we could see that his drive, his passion, his commitment to high-level baseball, but also doing it the right way, was exactly what we wanted. The 3-hour meeting felt like 30 minutes. It was really one of the best interviews that I've been a part of. There's a connection here, and we believe that his leadership and commitment to young men on and off the field will carry us forward. So we want to give a big Aggieland and Texas A&M welcome to Katie, who's here in the front row, to Jackson, and to your new baseball coach, Jim Schlossnagle.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. Howdy. Howdy. Okay, got the first one right. Yeah, what an awesome day, and I've certainly been on the other side plenty of times of Section 203 and bubbles and ball 47. It felt like it was only ball 6, but it felt like 50. Just incredibly honored and humbled to be in this position. And one of my theories in baseball is not a game you talk about, it's a game you do, it's a game you practice, it's a game you play. And so I'm not going to be very long up here, but I certainly want to, we've already introduced my son Jackson, my daughter Katie. I want to make sure that they know how much I care about them. I'm moving away from Fort Worth and their students at TCU, but that just to make it public, they were 100% behind me taking this opportunity. I want to thank Ross, President Banks, Chancellor Sharp, all the Board of Regents for having the confidence in me and the staff that we'll put together to lead this baseball program. I also want to acknowledge Coach Childress and his staff, Coach Johnson, who's been a longtime friend of mine, just an incredible man that I think super highly of, and then of course Coach Chandler, that have laid the foundation for what is already an outstanding baseball program, and one that it's my job, along with our staff and players, to build upon. I would have to also thank TCU. TCU is means a lot to me. And the Chancellor Victor Bashini and the athletic director there, Jeremiah Donati, those guys couldn't have been more supportive. And had 4 athletic directors at TCU, and they couldn't have been more supportive of what of my time there, both not just professionally, but with my family, with my children. And my move to Aggieland should have zero negative reflection upon TCU. These are two very different schools that are committed to baseball at the highest level. That the goal is to see them in Omaha and win. That's ultimately the goal. As much as I love it, we want to beat the Horned Frogs. So, and lastly, I want to thank my players at TCU because we can talk about staff, we can talk about support staff, we can talk about fans, we can talk about community, talk about all those things, but it's all about the players. And there's nothing more important than the players and the former players, which I'll address here shortly. But I want to thank the players at TCU. One of my coaching philosophies is that when the team goals get met, the individual goals get met. And my opportunity to stand here as your coach is simply reflective of some outstanding players that I've been able to coach at TCU, UNLV before that, Tulane and Clemson before that. So I'd like to just briefly address a couple different groups. Number one, as I said earlier, the program belongs to the players. This is not my baseball program. It's my job to oversee the program, to continue to move it forward, but the program belongs to the players, and the program belongs to the former players. And so any former player that's out there, that's in the community, or when they come to visit, the ballpark is always open to them, the program is always open to them. I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me, because there's a lot of people I'm accountable to, but the players and the former players are super important to me. My job with the players is to give them the best chance to have success. That's simply, to me, what a leader is you put people in the best position to have success. You help them to become the very best version of themselves. And when we all do that, then the results on the baseball field will take care of itself. To the future, Texas A&M players. Get ready, we're coming. We're coming to find you. We're coming to identify you. We're coming to recruit you. We want to teach you about this place. We want you to see what an amazing place that it is. There are no negatives here. There are things that can be better, but there are no negatives. In my, I like to tell a recruit that the same things, this is not just your future, this is my future too. And the same things that you evaluate are the exact same things that I evaluated as I was making this decision. And I believe that players make decisions primarily based in three areas: academics, player development, and team success, right? We already know what a great university this is. We have the tools, or we will have the tools, along with the coaching staff, to continue to develop players to become the very best version of themselves on and off the field. Baseball players want to play in the major leagues, and we want to help them get there, but we want to do that through the team concept of being a player at Texas A&M. And then lastly, after academics and player development, is team success. We want to win championships, not play for championships, not win a game in Omaha. We want to play for and win a national title, and that's the bottom line. You can, and a recruit out there, you can achieve all of that here. I am heavily involved in recruiting. Most people would call me a boring guy. Jackson, Katie, pretty boring. Pretty boring. I appreciate how pretty a golf course is, but I don't play golf. I don't have very many hobbies. I believe my job is a lifestyle. It's not a profession. And so we'll certainly always work within the confines of the NCAA rules, as the compliance director sits right here. But I will be out as much as I'm allowed to be out, along with our staff, and I will be heavily involved in that because you can't do it without great players. And then to Aggie Nation and Aggieland and our great fans, you have my full-on commitment that there will never be a minute or an hour or a day where I'm not doing something to better this baseball program and make it a product that you want to see and be a part of. I've had to stand in the opposing dugout at Olsen Field and Bluebell Park in playoffs and regionals and super regionals, and I know what that's like. And so my job is to put a product on the field that everybody wants to come see, not just because you're a fan, but because you want to see great baseball and competitive baseball and big games and big weekends, and we're gonna work like crazy every day to do that. I think an Aggie baseball game should be the thing to do in the spring, from February when it's a little chilly to June, right before Omaha, when we're sweating to death out there like it is today, and on a super regional weekend trying to make our way to the College World Series. And then lastly, the goal is a national title. That's it. There won't ever be a day where the goal was anything less than that. We have standards. Standards are behavior-based, and we know what those are. RELIS. Goals are performance-based, and we'll do everything we can to control that and get to and win at the College World Series. Know that I am a very impatient guy. Winning never feels as good as losing feels bad to me. So I can't stand to lose. I understand that it's going to happen, but every year, if we're allowed to play 56, I expect to go 56-0. I get it; it's probably not going to go that way, but that is what I'm about, and that's what you can hold me accountable to. But we are going to do it the right way. We are going to do it the right way. There are no shortcuts to anything great, and anything worth having takes a lot of work, and it doesn't happen overnight. But understand that as soon as it can possibly happen, it will. I'm super excited, and I look forward to meeting as many people as I possibly can, and for you to get to know my family. I'll be in and out all summer long, working like crazy to get us to where we need to be. But thank you for this opportunity. I am so super excited. Gig 'em.
We've got a couple of gifts. So we gave Katie and Jackson some bubble machines, and we got Katie some flowers and Jackson a ball cap, and then we've got a jersey and a hat for a coach.
I wonder what number it is.
Thank you so much. the world's longest last name on a jersey.
Who's telling Will Johnston? He just lost his name.
Oh, wait, yeah.
You went Aggie script, I noticed. That looks good.
There we go. Thanks so much. All good? Put that on.
Press conference next? Yep. Two things. Do not slip on the bubbles, please. We're used to doing that outdoors, just across the way. Media, we will have the media conference with Coach immediately following. Cannot thank you all enough for being here. Again, great day for Texas A&M and obviously for Texas A&M baseball, and welcome, Coach.
Okay, everybody in the back, good sound, good thumbs up. Coach, whenever you're ready, we'll just open it up for questions. So, Brent, you'll start us off.
Brent Swarneman, Houston Chronicle, right here.
Okay.
Coach, do you enjoy Bluebell ice cream?
Oh, yeah, big fan. Old-fashioned vanilla, throw some strawberries in there, maybe mix in a little milkshake. But, yeah, big. That's my weakness dietarily is ice cream.
Wanted to ask you then about the park, what you've seen, your early impressions of Bluebell Park. I know you've been here before, obviously, but in terms of the future of it, what you would like to see done to kind of keep it, on the upswing, I guess.
Yeah, I think one of the things that attracted me to the position is not just where the baseball program is and what it's been done in the past. It's as much or more so about what it can be, and part of that is expanding the facility, making it, like I said in my statement earlier, the place to be. And I think, if no disrespect, but I think if they can have 12 to 15,000 people at a ball game in Starkville, Mississippi, in a town of 25,000 people, which is amazing, then certainly we can get to that point here, being so close to metropolitan areas, and of course College Station being a much bigger city. So that's my vision is, along with Ross, and again, as a coach, you don't want to speak out of turn to the athletic director when you're talking about facilities, but that's his vision, and we talked about that when we met for the first time. And so certainly there's a lot of things that I'd like to get done in the near future to both enhance the atmosphere and enhance the fan experience and the player support areas. So we can, again, player development is so vital. Recruiting is so competitive, obviously, especially in this conference. We need to be able to give the coaches and the players the tools that they need to be successful.
To the right side, Travis.
Travis Brown with the Bryan College Station Eagle. What have you seen, of the roster so far, and how have you been able to talk with any of the players? What evaluation have you been able to give in the short time?
Yeah, it's hard to evaluate the roster off a stat sheet or without seeing them play. I know these guys bleed for their school, and in my spare time, I think ESPN Plus and the SEC Network and the SEC Network Online has just been so awesome for college baseball, because again, I don't have too many hobbies, so if I'm always watching college baseball games. So if we weren't playing, then I would turn on one of the and watch a great game. And a lot of times this spring it was Texas A&M. So I think we'll continue to evaluate that. I met with about 8 or 10 guys this morning that were in town or local incoming players, and then I'll be in contact with all the players, whether it be through text message, social media, or call them, and hopefully, especially the ones playing around here or in the relatively close area, I'll get a chance to go watch play, and we'll just figure out where they are and where they want to be, and they're our players, and we're going to do everything we can to make them better.
And then with the bringing on of the one-time transfer rule, how do you see that changing or looking at how you can build a roster in your first season?
Certainly that's going to be a part of college baseball and college athletics now for a long time, and we'll hit the transfer portal, I'm sure, but it's got to be just a really good fit. I'm a big culture guy. I'm a big, you do things the right way. You do things not for the short term, but for the long term, and so you build and maintain your program with high school players, and you supplement your program with transfers, junior college, and now the 4-year transfer thing. So we'll pick and choose our places. Certainly, once I get a full evaluation of the roster and have an idea of where, what the players want to do. And I know there are a couple guys one in particular that's in the transfer portal, and we'll see what he wants to do. But I think that's going to be a continuing thing. It'll definitely help us, but I don't want to live by it, because I want to recruit great high school players that can see themselves playing here early in their career. And if you get too much of that going, then it creates a log jam for the long term.
Coach, we'll go back behind the lights. Mike.
Hey, Coach. Mike Lucas with KAGS TV. I'll introduce myself when I think you could see me, because
Sure.
I don't think you could see back.
Yeah, I can see you.
Awesome. Well, Coach, you mentioned wanting to win championships here. What about Texas A&M in this program makes you believe that winning a national championship is possible here?
Yeah, well, again, everything I said during the initial statement, academics, player development, and team success. If you're a player out there who aspires to get a great degree, continue your development as a player, and become the very best major league prospect you can become, and you want to compete for championships, and you want to do it in the greatest baseball conference in the country, in the greatest division of college baseball, then if you're afraid of this, then you shouldn't come here. But if you aspire to compete against the best and know that that's going to be difficult, but at the same time anything worth having is, then all bets are off, man. This is a great place, and we're only going to continue to grow it, and it's been proven. Coach Childress won championships. Coach Johnson won championships. It's been proven that it can be done here, and that's again like I said, this isn't just their future. This is my future too, and I left an already amazing place for a different place, not necessarily better, but different. And my job is to have the postseason success mirror what we were able to do at TCU, and even do better than that.
Down front here, Zach.
Coach, down here at the bottom right, Zach Taylor, WTAW. One of those differences, obviously, College Station being closer proximity to Houston. I know at TCU you didn't have much issue recruiting. It seemed like Houston area guys, but the fact that regionally A&M is much closer, do you think that will help you in recruiting? Oh,
for sure. Yeah, I mean that's where you start. I mean you start and live in the Houston and surrounding areas. There's great high school programs, phenomenal summer baseball programs, which is where the bulk of college baseball recruiting is done these days. And so, my job and our staff is to make A&M an option for those players. It doesn't mean you're going to get them all the time, but we're going to make it real hard on them to not choose this place. And so it doesn't make any sense to go anywhere else. And now I understand at the same time, we're going to recruit the best players. And I don't care where they're from, we want the best ones. And so, but more than likely, more often than not, Houston, Texas, and the surrounding area is where you're going to start.
Coach, we'll go back to the far right, then down front.
Hey, Coach. Matt Roberts, Fox 44, back here in the back. Obviously, this happened all very quickly. What have the last few days been like for you? And was there a particular moment where it kind of clicked in and said, I'll leave TCU for this?
Well, this time last week we were getting ready to play a regional in Fort Worth, and I told our players in our postseason meeting that, I had 8 amazing seniors, 5 of them in their 6th year of college that are very, very, very close to me, and I met with them in my office, and I wanted them to be sure that they knew and looked me in the eye that there wasn't ever one second where I wasn't 100% invested in what we were trying to do. I'm excited to be here today. Frankly, I wish I was still playing and then have this happen later. But the moment, I mean, it's just been a steady build over time. It was more, I knew if I was to ever leave TCU, it had to fit a perfect criteria, and it had to happen at a perfect time, professionally and personally. And all of those things lined up. And my children are obviously the most important thing in my life. And so as soon as Jackson and Katie looked at me and said, "Dad, we're all in on this. You got to do this." As soon as they signed off on it, then it was just a matter of getting over the emotions of leaving a program that I've been, living and breathing for 18 years, and the loyalty that they've shown me. And I think this is a good day for TCU too. I think everything has a shelf life, and I'm sure there are plenty of people there that maybe want a new voice, and that's fine too. I don't have a problem with that. We're looking forward, not back.
Down front, Olin.
Yeah, Coach Olin Buchanan with TexAgs.com. A couple of things. First, so why leave a program that you were so comfortable and so established in to come here?
I like a challenge, and not a blind challenge, but one in which there are things in place where there's already been some success, but there's room for growth, not just on the field, but programmatically. I hate the term CEO coach. Sometimes I get called that. To me, that implies that you're not a baseball guy. You're you look at the other stuff. But to me, it's one thing, and this goes back to Travis's question on the transfer portal. We're not just looking to have a good team, we're looking to have a great program. And that is something that's sustainable over time. And so, I just felt like at 50 years old, I still have plenty of energy to go do something really cool again. What we did at TCU was just awesome, to go from a place that had been to 2 regionals in over 100 years and then be one of only 2 schools that in a 10-year period played in the College World Series 5 times. That's amazing. And is there still work to be done at TCU? No question. And that was, if I'd have stayed, that was the challenge, was to get back to Omaha and win a national championship. But here, I talked to Coach Tanner, the athletic director at South Carolina, who used to be the baseball coach. And when I was in college and at Clemson, he was the baseball coach at North Carolina State. And he left North Carolina State, and they had a phenomenal baseball program, to go to South Carolina. Now, the SEC was good, but it wasn't like it is now. And I called him and I said, why'd you do that? And he said, you know what? I just wanted to coach in the American League East one time. And the SEC West is the American League East of college baseball. And so, I'm not afraid of that. I know exactly how tough that's going to be. And I'm sure it's even tougher than I can imagine, having not been in the league full time. But that was the challenge. But I don't really have a desire. Never say never. I don't have a desire to coach. I was very, very close to Augie Garrido. I don't have a desire to coach to that age. I'd like to do this, to a certain spot. And I felt like I just didn't want to have any regrets in my coaching career. I wanted to make a run at something like this. And I've been 26 years at a private school, where at Tulane as an assistant and TCU as the head coach. And there are advantages to that, but there's also some big challenges. And so there have been other opportunities over 18 years, but this one lined up at the perfect time, at the perfect place.
If I can ask one more, it struck me when you said that you're not patient. That's really kind of the same thing Jimbo Fisher said on his introductory press conference. So what, in your mind, is a realistic timetable to go from a good program to a championship caliber program?
Yeah, I better be careful what I say right here. That's hard to say. I haven't seen any of the guys play, but I don't want to be in Omaha next year. But there's just a lot of work to be done, and I know the Aggieland, Aggie Nation, and I'm sure they're going to want that this year, and so do I. But I think every good thing takes work, and I'm not necessarily doesn't have to take time. I mean, the thing about baseball is it can happen for anybody. In 2016, the closest we're sitting in the College World Series at TCU with a 2-0 record, in the driver's seat, feeling great, and we have to win one more ball game to make it to the championship series against Arizona. And this little school named Coastal Carolina, we had to win 1, they had to win 3, and they did. Crushing to be that close to playing for the national title, and it didn't happen. So it's tournament baseball. And once you get to the postseason, whether it's 12U, 16U, high school, junior college, and that's what Coach Childress did an amazing job of, is he put his teams in position every single year to play well in the NCAA tournament. And that's my goal, to do that, and then we hopefully play our best when we get there.
Back to the lights, Daryl, and then down front, Gabe.
Coach, Boomer White was a guy that played for you, then he came to Texas A&M, and I understand that you guys had a conversation. Can you kind of talk a little bit about Boomer and maybe what insight he was able to provide you about this opportunity?
Sure. Boomer and I have an awesome relationship. It's very unique in that I don't think I spoke to Boomer this week. Congratulations to Boomer, by the way. He became a father, I think it was this morning. And so super excited for him, and his parents were here today. We got back from the College World Series in 2014, and he got a walk-off hit, or a game-winning hit against Texas Tech, and everybody's feeling great. He's getting ready to head to the Cape Cod League. He's Boomer White. Like, you got this great name, and he's going to be a legend at TCU. And he walks in my office and says, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm transferring. And I was like, to what planet? Right. And he said, no, I've always, I love it at TCU, but I just can't. Being an Aggie has always been in my heart. And for my life, I have to do this. And what do you say to that? And he didn't do anything wrong, and TCU didn't do anything wrong. It's just what he wanted to do. And so I didn't really talk to him again. I wasn't mad at him, but, didn't really talk to him again until right after the Super Regional in 2016 when we won the game. And I know, he was upset, and I walked across to do the press conference and gave him a big hug. And that was really the last time I talked to him until this week. And we had a great conversation about his experience here. And he said some great things on my behalf to the administration here, which I'm very thankful for. And I look forward to rekindling our relationship.
Down front, Gabe.
Hey, Gabe.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Gabe Bach with Tex Ags. I want to ask you about Mark Johnson. Just talked to him after the press conference. I know you know him well.
Yeah.
How important is Mark during this time where you're still getting to know A&M?
It's super important. Coach Johnson has been a kind of distant advisor of mine for a long time, not just in baseball, but life in general and faith. And he's a true gentleman in our sport. We're on the American Baseball Coaches Association board together, and so I see him usually in January at our convention, and then at the College World Series here in a couple weeks. We have board meetings there, so he'll be, obviously there's a lot of great resources here, and there's people that I have known for a while, but Coach Johnson will certainly be someone that I lean on for 1,000 different things. And I had that at TCU. I had Lance Brown. At UNLV, I had Freddie Dallimore, and so I've been very, very lucky as a head coach to come into a program to have these legendary coaches that have just been kind of taking me under their wing. And I don't, and that's why I said it about the players and former players should have included former coaches, because this is his program as much as anybody's, and I want to give that respect every day.
And then, secondly, I wanted to ask you just the timetable on assistants, and specifically 2014, you started that 4-year run to Omaha, and a lot of that was Mosiello and just the change of mindset, a very up-tempo offense, attacking.
Sure.
Do you plan on, regardless of who you assign to take over the offense, sticking with that concept?
Yeah, you're talking about just giving the coach. Yeah, so, well, first of all, timetable on assistants as soon as we possibly can for the right people. And one of the biggest attractions to this job is our athletic director's commitment to, within reason, to hire the best people. And I've been super fortunate, whether it be Kirk Sarlos, Bill Mosiello, Randy Mazie, Todd Whitting, Chuck Girolman, who's now at the University of Florida, and Josh Elander, who's now at Tennessee. The key is to identify talent, whether it's a player or a coach. And so, for me, I've always tried to hire the best people. I like upwardly mobile coaches. In other words, I'm not afraid to hire a coach that someone may say, well, you may only keep him for 3 years because he's a big name and he may get a head coaching job. That doesn't bother me in the least, because all it does is help us hire the next guy. And when you hire someone who's talented, then you give them a framework by which to work in, and then you let them work. And so with Coach Mo at TCU, we needed just a total mindset change from an offensive standpoint. I'm a pitching guy at heart. I put my hand on everything, but pitching is where as an assistant coach, that's where I made my mark. And so Coach Mo at TCU he's the head coach of the offense. We'll see what happens there with the job. He's certainly a candidate to be here. But yeah, in terms of up-tempo offense, on the offensive side of the ball, we don't ever want to be a team that is one-dimensional, because we want to be able to win the game in multiple ways. It begins and ends with starting pitching first and foremost, bar none. and then obviously catching the baseball and having a good bullpen. But from an offensive standpoint, if you're just a team that runs and steals bases, well, that can be defended against a good team, a good pitcher, a good catcher. If you're just a team that hits the ball out of the ballpark, well, that can be defended against a good pitcher or a ballpark that's big like TD Ameritrade or the wind blowing in on that particular day. So, we want, like every coach, you want to be able to do all kinds of things on offense. You want to put pressure on the other team. You want to be aggressive, but you don't want to be reckless. But when, there's a fine line there. And sometimes when you're an aggressive base running team and you give some freedom to 18 to 22-year-olds, they make some bad decisions every now and then. And that looks ugly. And like, wait, what just happened? He made the third out at third. But what I would ask our fans to look at is what happens over time. And so the goal of an offense is not to get hits. The goal of the offense is to score runs. And until we hit a rough spot the last 3 weeks of the season, but we were leading the nation in runs scored. And while we were about third or fourth in the Big 12 in batting average, but high on base percentage, extra base hits, stealing bases. I'm not that big on the sacrifice bunt. I want the bunt game to be a weapon that puts pressure on the other team, but I don't like to give up outs. There may be a time for that to happen, but offensively, we just want to be multi-dimensional, and that takes multi-dimensional players. And so going back to your question about timetable, I have to evaluate that roster, and we got 2000. I think the 2015 A&M team was one of the best teams that I was a part of ever being in the other dugout against. And I can't remember all the names. I know it was Banks and Alamon, and they had a couple boppers in there too, but it was a lot of pressure facing that club, and that's what we want to bring here.
Time for a couple more. Rob to the left, and then Brent, you'll wrap us up.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
Rob Havens with Aggieland Illustrated. I got to see a video of an interview you did about 11 months ago where you talked about your faith and your family. Can you talk? I thought it was amazing. Can you talk about how your faith and your family impact your coaching?
Well, certainly, the greatest motivational book or the greatest instructional manual that anybody could have, in my opinion, is the Bible. And so I'm not perfect. There's only ever been one perfect person on this planet, and they nailed him to a cross. And so certainly everything about who I am as a person is based on my faith. And everybody has a different faith. It can be stronger or lesser in other people, but that's how I try every single morning to live my life and how you treat people. And then certainly my family, Jackson and Katie, who are in here. There's nothing more important in my life than those two young people, and to give them the best chance to have success beyond where they are right now. But at TCU, we held baseball chapel once a week, not required. I was heavily involved. I used to be on the board of the FCA in Fort Worth. And then at TCU, very, very involved with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I want to do the same thing here, and then give players the option. If that's something that is a part of their life, that's great. If it's not, that's fine too. But certainly that's makes me who I am.
We'll go Brent, and then we'll go over left second row.
I know you made multiple trips over here, but say like the 2016 Super Regional, what were your impressions of that setting, of Bluebell Park, of Olson Field? The Raggies are on you. Do you have any kind of memories in particular of that? And were you taking it in at that point, thinking this might be a pretty cool place to coach at some point?
Yeah, I've been coaching 30 years, and so I've been in a lot of neat atmospheres over the course of that time. But, all I remember is it was so hot. And everybody's, it's a stadium that has a bunch of people in it, but it's straight up, so it's just on you all the time. And the first game where we, in 16, we pretty much, we had the game under control. We scored early. I think Janzik pitched that game, if I can remember, and we stayed ahead. So the crowd got into it a little bit, but then the second game, I think somebody hit a home run in the first inning. Yep. And they hit the home run in the first inning. And then Mitchell Traver, one of my dearest former players and great guy, he threw ball 2, ball 3, oh baby, here we go. And that I do remember that. It's like, when is he ever going to throw a strike? And I was also thinking, I'm not sure I could throw a strike right now. But and then the third game, Brian Howard was outstanding, and we had control of that one. So yeah, it's just awesome traditions, awesome fan base, and glad to be in the right color jersey this time.
We'll wrap it up over here to the left.
Howdy, Coach. Ryan Faulkner with the Battalion here. You know we're big on core values here at Texas A&M, and in your welcome, Andrew mentioned that your 3 core values are selflessness, excellence, and energy. Can you go a little bit more in depth on how we'll see each of those implemented with the Maroon and White squad? Yeah,
well, first of all, those 3 things, that's how we build and maintain the program at TCU. Haven't quite decided exactly how bring that here, because A&M has its own core values that already align with most of those things. But selflessness is basically this. To me, we defined all these things. This life is not about you. It's about what you can do for other people. And I think in order for a team to have success, you have to give something up, and you have to give yourself to the team. And then the way life works, the more you give, the more you get back. Excellence is just trying to be 1% better every single day. It's the compound effect, which is one of my favorite books. I make every team I ever have coached read that book. And it's just putting good days on top of good days, and knowing that how you do anything is how you do everything. You can't there's no such thing as being excellent on the baseball field, but not giving your best effort in the classroom or away from the field. So those are the things that I will hold the players accountable for. And the last one is energy, which is basically you can control your attitude and your effort, knowing that everybody has a bad day. But your attitude and your effort is something that you don't have to be a great player to do that. So that's something that I will hold the players accountable to.
Coach, one more from our student newspaper here.
Hi, Coach. Jennifer Streeter with the Battalion. How does it feel to come into a program with an atmosphere that is already so established in tradition and culture, and how do you personally hope to add to that?
Well, we hope to add to it by putting a great product on the field and giving everybody something even more to cheer about. But I was handed a 3-ring binder when I landed yesterday, and a lot of the first page was all the traditions, and so I'm learning how to say howdy and make sure I don't say UT. It's supposed to be the other way, right? TU. My man Chris Del Conte will love that. But yeah, no, I'm super excited, and that's another thing that attracted me to this is I love being in those environments, even as the visiting team, just to be at a place where college baseball really means something. I'm from Western Maryland, and so growing up, obviously in the cold weather, there's not a whole lot of high-end college baseball, but since I've been in Texas and in the Deep South, around all the great programs, predominantly in the SEC, and you turn the games on this weekend, you're going to see that. And so we have that here, and we have an opportunity to build on that.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Yep.
We appreciate it.